Just ahead is another of Colchester's popular pubs, the old Brewer's Arms. It dates from about the 18th century, and on the side they've got quite an interesting mural. It shows the actual pub, which is rather nice. Don't see that on an old pub very often. But across the way is the old Scheeregate, the old Scheeregate Hotel. I think it's now student accommodation or something. But it comes from Scheeregate. Actually, comes from the old Anglo-Saxon word "skeered," meaning a gap. So there was a gap in the Roman wall, and just here is the Scheeregate steps, which goes up into the High Street. One of the old medieval posterns, probably cut in about 1381, when a few other entrance gates were actually put into the or put through the wall. But yeah, it's quite nice around here. It's nice today, but of course back in ancient times, it's a different story around here. Because this was the site of the old red light district in medieval times, and also into the 17th and 18th centuries as well. Life outside the town walls here would have been very different in comparison to other areas inside the town. There's another section of old Roman wall here as well. Let's just turn around, you can see that behind me. And you can see the putlock holes as well on the side. But this was another thoroughfare, another street which has long since disappeared. This used to be a lane. It led to the fields further out, just outside of, further on outside the town's walls. There used to be a pub here called the Black Boy, and it changed its name to Black Boy Lane, and then to Vineyard Street. And there are lots of photographs of the houses on Vineyard Street, which all back down onto the old Roman wall. And this is where the actual cesspit was as well. This is where the actual the waste was deposited from the town, just here on the side by St John Street, at the end of St John Street, into Vineyard Street. And of course now Vineyard Street is it's now a car park. It's made a car park in 1962. There are 101 spaces in this one. Quite a nice little car park. And the Roman wall on one end, which is quite interesting. But also up here, actually, is the remains of a Roman drain. You see the Roman drain in the wall. And also here, there's also an area of more modern red brick, so you can see where other buildings would have been attached to the old Roman wall. But they've seen better days. This part has seen better days. It's not as well preserved as other parts of the town, which is a shame really, because had the history of Colchester been different, had the walls not been pulled down in 1649, then they'd be a lot more intact, especially on this south side. And we'd probably find that the houses that were built here in Victorian times on Vineyard Street just wouldn't have been built, or if they had, they wouldn't have been built close to the wall, which is a shame. But also at this end of Vineyard Street car park, used to be an old air raid shelter. Some old photographs which actually show an air raid shelter here, which is interesting. There are quite a few in Colchester. Obviously during the Second World War, Colchester was bombed. It was the Hive area that was the target for the Luftwaffe, because that's where the industry was. But not many bombs fell on the industry, and they fell on the residential houses around. Bombing back in those days wasn't as accurate as it is today. This road goes down to the site of the South Gate, This is the junction with where Queen Street meets St Botolph Street and Priory Street. Now the south gate was demolished back in 1818, and there's a plaque on the wall which commemorates that. Yeah, the plaque's on the wall above the shop, just 20 or 30 paces from the junction with Priory Street, which is where I'm going to walk down now. I'm not sure, across the road, I'm not sure if the gate was an old Roman gate or not. It certainly existed by 1197 and was probably extended and built above in the alterations in 1388. Would have been a single arch structure, a little like perhaps the Pipwell Gate in Winchelsea, but turned into Priory Street. And just on the right hand side here by the wall, this is the wall to the Priory, the old Augustinian Priory of St Botolph's. There are some stones on the bottom of the wall. And these actually parish marker boundary stones, and they mark the boundary between St Botolph's parish, which is on the other side of this wall on my left, and that of the parish of All Saints, which is just up the hill towards the High Street. And the cobbles on the floor were put in 1821. This is part of a pathway that was built then around the side of the wall of St Botolph's. It's really rather pleasant here. I'll cover the Priory in another video. Let's walk back across the road and into Priory Street car park. And this is another section of the old Roman wall. They've relaid out the car park a few years ago, and they put in some seating here and a little pedestrian walkway to keep cars away from the wall, to stop them being damaged. People tend to reverse park into spaces. I know I do, and too often they reverse a little bit too far and hit the wall. But these are one of the old bastions. These are a later addition to the old Roman wall. These were probably put in. The architecture on the outside is quite different to that of the main part of the wall. Again, this is quite a popular car park. 169 spaces in this one. Parked in here a few times myself. It's really rather nice. But this is built on houses. All houses used to be here. There used to be a baize factory here as well, making cloth at one point, and then housing as well. That's all long since been demolished. But it wasn't originally called Priory Street. In 1275 it was called Moor Street, and in 1610 it was Moor Elm Lane, and then Moor Lane in 1690, and in 1818 it was called Priory Street, after the St Botolph's Priory, which is at one end. There's still quite an array of architecture here on the right hand side which has survived. Rows of Victorian terraced houses. Very pleasant, and this part of the wall is nicely intact as well. It's again not all the walls were pulled down, which was great for us, because we get to enjoy more sections. So many towns around the country have lost their Roman walls. Dorchester, where I was a few weeks ago, and there's St Albans. It's all but gone. And even big cities like Norwich only have very small sections of wall that actually remain, which is a shame. If history had been different in all of these places, then maybe they would have intact walls. But there we go. So coming out to the end of Priory Street, and this now leads onto East Hill and the East Gate. There's another postern up here, a bastion just up here. There are still a couple of bastions on the old Wall of London if you know where to look, behind the Museum of London. Despite all the bombing that occurred in London throughout the Second World War, they still have two sections of bastion and a tiny little section of wall which has been preserved. Before the war, of course, there was quite a bit of wall there. But wars caused so much destruction and changed landscapes, towns and cities so much that yeah, it's almost a crime to you have to call it a crime, I suppose, because it's a crime against heritage. And there's another section of bastion just up here in the corner. This is in someone's garden, so I can't go in there. And the wall continues. There we go, there's a bit of bastion there. But the wall actually continues down into the private gardens at the back. There's a little gated community, and you can't get in there. But I did get in there a few years ago, and because they left the gates open, so I sneaked in and took some photos. So here are those photos. At the end of Priory Street, a couple of old cottages here on the right hand side, really rather pleasant, and onto East Hill. I walked up East Hill in an earlier video, and I did cover the East Gate a little bit as well, and that's just up here. But the East Gate fell down in, part of it fell down in 1651 and was finally removed in 1675. I guess it was in a far worse condition than and beyond repair. But this is where it stood, here on the top of East Hill. And I'll try and cross over the road. In fact, I'll just walk down and use the crossing. I thought it'd be safer, use the crossing. And we'll walk across East Hill and into Castle Park and take a look there. The East Gate must have been quite grand in its when it was standing. The archaeologists, of course, have dug down to the foundations and they've discovered a large central arch flanked by two smaller ones. So probably something resembling the Spilo Gate in the town of Spilo in Italy. But through here on the right, this goes down into this is Land Lane, and this goes down into Castle Park. And down here is a really rather impressive section of town wall. Probably the most impressive section of all. This corner was not touched. So let's just walk down here and past these houses. This is all modern here. And walk into the park. Hopefully there's an entrance down here somewhere. And find a way in. Got to be a way in somewhere. Yeah, here we go. There's a way in here. Oh, this is quite pleasant. This is rather nice, yeah. This is one of the great tourist attractions of Colchester, is Castle Park. And there's so much to enjoy in Castle Park because you've got the castle and all the other attractions around it, Holywell House. And you've got the lake and the River Colne at the bottom, and lots of green spaces here. But largely, they've built on some of it in years gone by. But most of it's is open green space for everyone to enjoy. Another sunny day like today. Yeah, it's really rather nice. Oh, wow. Even though this part of the wall is still in a ruinous condition, it's still mightily impressive because due to its height. And I think this is one of the sections, because it's slightly different to the Roman wall on the western side. It doesn't have those layers of bonding tiles in. So I'm wondering if this is one of the sections that was heavily rebuilt back in 917. I'm not that up on medieval architecture as such, but there are some Roman bricks in the wall. But I reckon this was probably one of the sections which was rebuilt. But it's still in remarkably good condition for considering how long it's been here. Just up ahead is another of the old posterns. This one's called the Duncan's Gate, after a Dr. P. Duncan, who excavated it back in 1853. It was a single arch with a width of 10 feet 8 inches. In comparison, the arch at the Balkan Gate that I walked through earlier is only 6 feet in width. And as you can see, it's completely overgrown. I'm quite surprised the archaeologists haven't opened it up as a tourist attraction. But I guess there are reasons perhaps why they haven't. But if I was the council, I would also change the name. I would change it to the Boudica Gate. I think Boudica's a name that can sell tourism in Colchester. I think Duncan's a name that can sell insurance. There we go. But let's walk a little further down and see what we can discover as we walk into the lower part of Colchester's Castle Park. Just walked into the lower ground. There is a pathway which I could have continued on, but I thought I'd walk into the lower ground here. They hold events here, medieval fairs and things. I came here a few years ago. There was one of the Queen's birthday salutes, and the army are out here firing their guns and salute. Quite a spectacular event to watch. Saw a gun salute at the Tower of London a few years ago as well. Just happened to be there, and they all turned up in their jeeps, towing their guns, and gave I think it was a 71 gun salute. Went on for quite a while. Smell the cordite in the air. Very impressive to watch. I do enjoy military things. But they also had a big pageant here back in 1909. It's a major event in Colchester's calendar back then. This was to celebrate the first 2,000 years of Colchester's history. And I've seen some of the old photographs. It looks really impressive indeed. What an event that must have been to see. Here some weeks ago when I made a video in Castle Park here, one of my what's been happening in 2021 videos. I should probably come back here and make the next instalment of that series here as well. But it's really rather pleasant here, lots of ducks, and this leads out, I think, yeah, this leads out onto what's known as the Scheeregate, which is back down onto the line of the old Roman wall. And there's an old drinking fountain here as well. It's paid for by Miss M.J. Catchpole back in 1892. I'm not sure who she was, but the Catchpole family were quite prominent in Colchester. So I'm wondering if it might be one of the members of the family. But I'm not too sure on that one. But this is where the Scheeregate stood. First recorded in about the year 1240. And it was sold for scrap in 1659. There's a plaque on the outside, the Scheeregate. These entrance gates were presented to the town of Colchester by Captain H.S. Naylor Leyland, Member of Parliament for the borough in 1892. Now he was the Conservative MP. He resigned in 1895 and became the MP for Southport, and died in 1899 of laryngitis. He was only 35 years old. No age at all. Gosh, I know a few people who have passed away at a young age, and you feel for the families. I expect they did back then as well. I'm sure laryngitis is one of the more curable illnesses today. So perhaps there are other complications. I don't know, but following down here was the line of the wall. Just on my right hand side is the fence, and this is where the wall would have run, along here. Again, boarded up flats and properties. And this is another section of the wall that was ripped down in 1649. It's a great shame. So much destruction during the English Civil War, not just in Colchester, but in other areas as well. So many towns were affected, not just during the war, but afterwards. Castles slighted, walls pulled down. I guess the parliamentarians wanted to teach the royalists a lesson, or make their point with the people that they were backing the wrong side. Great shame, really, because so much destruction, so much was lost, especially around Banbury and up in Pontefract, South Wales. Raglan Castle destroyed, and whole communities just wiped out because they backed the wrong side. They backed the king. Now, I'm a huge monarchist. I love my royal family, and but I don't know what side I would back today. But there we go. Just on the right is a little square plaque, and it says a soldier of the Great War used to live there. You don't see those very often, and it's really rather pleasant to actually see it as well. Shame they didn't put the name on the plaque as well, to actually say who lived there. Maybe I can look them up and find out a little bit more. I do like researching stories from the First World War. Such tales of bravery come out from the war. And so many people lost sons and uncles and fathers. And in some cases, you look at war memorials for towns, and you see so many people with the same name, which is a shame, because you know that an entire family has been wiped out. But just through here is another section of the old Roman wall. There are cars and motorbikes parked there at the moment. I went in a few months ago and took some photographs which actually show the wall quite nicely. That's the only real part of the wall that's actually left on that road and on this northern side. And I'm back where I started from now, at the bottom of North Hill, the site of the North Gate of Colchester. And behind me is is where I started, the plaque on the wall. So I've walked around 1.7 miles of the whole of the town's ancient walls of Colchester. And what a great walk it is as well. So much to see, and on a sunny day like today, it really is absolutely gorgeous. But this is where I end this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, leave a comment, let me know that you've seen it, and don't forget to subscribe as well. Over 90% of the people who watch my videos are not subscribed, so if that's you, just hit that subscribe button. It costs absolutely nothing to subscribe, and follow my channel. So thank you so much for watching. We'll see you all again soon for another walk, another adventure somewhere else.